Fine. So we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Mem Hey Amud Beis. Nifteru Ziknei Yerushalayim v'holchu lahem. So the elders of Yerushalayim, they back off. Ziknei Eisa Ha'ir Mevian Eglas Bakar. And the elders of the city where it was measured closest to, they bring a calf, Ashalei Mashcha Ba'oil, that never drew with a yoke. Ein Hamum Paisel Ba. A mum, as opposed to a carbon where a mum is a problem, by an egla rufa, a mum is not a problem. It doesn't pass it. It has a blemish, it's not a problem. When we read the Eisol Nachal Eison, and you bring it down to Nachal Eison, what does Eison mean? Eison kemashmai kasha. Eison means literally a hard place. Afal b'she'ene Eison kasha. And even if it's not hard, still kasha. You chop off the neck of the calf with an axe from the back. The place where this takes place, you're not allowed to sow that place, you're not allowed to till the earth in that place. But you're allowed to comb flax there because it's nothing to do with the earth. And to use it for drilling stones, that also has nothing to do with the earth. Then the elders of that city washed their hands in the water, in the place where the calf's head was chopped off. And they say, our hands did not spill this blood, and our eyes didn't see. Asks the Mishnah, did we think that the elders of Bezdin are murderers, that they have to clean their own record and say, we didn't do it? Ella, what it means is, he didn't come our way, and we let him go without giving him food. We didn't see him and let him go without an escort. In other words, if a stranger comes to a town and nobody looks after him, then it's as good as being and later it turns out that he was killed. So the people that didn't look after him when he came to town are responsible for the fact that he was killed. So the elders of the town, they have to say, we weren't in a situation where we saw him and we left him, we didn't feed him, or we didn't escort him. And then the Kohanim say, Hashem, atone for your nation Yisrael, which you Hashem have redeemed. Don't place innocent blood amongst your people Yisrael. And the end of the pasuk, when the blood will be atoned for them. The don't have to say that. That's the divine spirit informing them. When you do everything you're supposed to do, the blood is atoned for. Correct the Gemara. We said in the Mishnah that a mum by an egla rufa is not an issue. An egla rufa can have a mum and doesn't become puzzle. The Gemara asks, why should a mum not make it puzzle out of a kal b'chemer? If a paraduma, which aged by a paraduma, is not an issue. If a paraduma becomes older, it doesn't become puzzle. Nevertheless, mum paisel ba, a blemish does disqualify it from being used as a paraduma. Egla shashanim paisless ba, so a calf, which has to be a calf and not a cow. So when it reaches maturity, it becomes puzzle. In a din she mum paisel ba, should a blemish not surely be a psul? If age is a psul by an egla rufa, although by a paraduma it's not, then a mum, which by a paraduma is a problem, should surely be a problem by an egla rufa. Says the Gemara, no. Shani Hasam, paraduma is an exception. Amar Kra, Asher Ein Ba Mum. It says in the pasuk by paraduma, you need to take a red heifer that in it there is no blemish, which means Ba Mum Paisel, in it a mum is a disqualification. Ein Mum Paisel by egla, but mum is not a disqualification by an egla. If that's the case, that the word ba excludes anything that is stated by paraduma, does not apply by egla rufa, then other types of work, if the para aduma did other types, if the egla rufa did other types of work, it shouldn't make it possible. Alama Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. Why did Rabbi Yehuda then say in the name of Rav, that if you place the bundle of sacks on the para aduma, it's psula, it's puzzle. In the case of an egla rufa, it's only puzzle if it draws them. In other words, if you place it on its back and it stands in one place, it doesn't become puzzle. If it moves with it on its back, then it does become puzzle. So why should this be a problem? Because it says, right? A yoke didn't go up upon it. So why doesn't that also, why don't we interpret that to mean that a yoke is only a problem by para aduma and not by other? Now, let's just get this clear. I see. Okay. Goes like this. By para, it says, Ashalei Allah Aleha Oil. It doesn't say that there's a problem with any other work. Para aduma, it would seem from the pasuk that any other work is not a problem with the para aduma. However, by egla rufa, it says Asher Lei Ubad Ba, that no work was done with it. So we know by egla rufa that all work is a problem by egla rufa, not just a yoke, any form of work. And we have a kal v'chemer from egla rufa to para aduma. If an egla rufa, which is allowed to have a mum, is not allowed to have any work done with it, so a para aduma, which is not allowed to have a mum, can surely not have any work with done with it. So if we say that when it says ba, it's an exclusion, only by this the din applies and not by anything else. So when it says by egla rufa asher ubad ba, asher la ubad ba, so we should say ba v'lei para aduma. It only applies by egla rufa, this disqualification of work, and it doesn't apply by para aduma. Why did Rabbi Yehuda say that if you place a bag of bags on top of a para aduma, it disqualifies the para aduma because of a kal v'chemer from egla rufa? Zok the Gemara, shiny para the alfinan oil me'egla. The para aduma is different because we don't learn it from a kal v'chemer from egla rufa. We learn it from a gzeira shava from egla rufa. It says the word oil by para aduma, and it says the word oil by egla rufa. So we learn gzeira shava oil may egla, and therefore the dinim that apply by egla rufa also apply by para aduma. So just like egla rufa is not allowed to have done any work, para aduma is also not allowed to have done any work. Frag the Gemara. If that's the case, then why don't you work the gzeira shava the other way around? And all just if you have a gzeira shava oil, comparing para aduma to egla rufa, so surely you should work the other way around as well. That whatever disqualifies a para aduma should also disqualify an egla rufa. And if a mum disqualifies a para aduma, it should disqualify an egla rufa as well. Says the Gemara, hamiyat rachmana ba, but we have an exclusion ba. Asher ein ba mum. Only in it a mum is a problem, but in something else a mum is not a problem. So it can't be that a mum would be a problem by egla rufa. Correct the Gemara, but egla namik sif ba. The same question works the other way around. By egla it also says asher ubat ba. The work wasn't done with it. That ba should also exclude para aduma. And for the Gemara, hume bayile lemute kadshim lei paslabu avayda. The ba by egla rufa comes to exclude that ubat ba, work is only a problem by egla rufa. But other karbanis, work is not a problem. You're allowed to offer for a carbon an animal that did work for you. Because we would have thought that you can derive a kal v'chemer from an egla rufa. If an egla rufa, which is less severe, the proof is that a mum is not a problem by egla rufa, and nevertheless, having done work makes it possible. So a carbon where a mum disqualifies them, isn't it for sure that work should disqualify a carbon? And therefore, we need the pasuk to tell you, doing work is a disqualification, but it's not a disqualification by carbonas. Sagt the Gemara, but you could really slug up this kal v'chemer. Mala egla shekein shanim paceless ba. Do you know why egla rufa has this special din that it can't do work? Because it also has a problem of age being a disqualification. When the calf grows up and is no longer a calf, it can't be used anymore for egla rufa, so it's disqualified by age. Maybe that's why it's not permitted to do work. But carbonas, which are not generally disqualified by age, there's no problem with work over there. Says the Gemara, Atu Kadshim Ileka the Pasla Bushanim. Are there not carbonas that also become disqualified by age? There are certain carbonas that have to be brought at dafka as a young animal, and when it gets older, it becomes possible. Says the Gemara, Ki Itzrichkra Lahanach Kadshim the Pasla Bushanim. So do you know what we need the pasuk for? We need the pasuk for those kadshim that do become possible by age. So you can't slug up the kal v'chemer by those kadshim. So you have the kal v'chemer stands that if an egla rufa, which is allowed to have a mum, is not allowed to have any work done with it, then carbonis, which are not allowed to have a mum, can surely not have any work done with them. And therefore, you need the pasuk to tell you that the disqualification of work only applies to egla rufa. It doesn't apply to other carbonis. Is this really where we learn that by carbonis it's okay if they did work? We learned it from a totally different pasuk. Pasuk says in Parshas Emer, it says averes, a blindness, a shaver, a break of a bone, a charutz, a abelus, a garav, the various mumim that are mentioned over there in the pasuk. So they sakrivu eila Hashem. These may not be offered to Hashem. So we learn from the words Leisakrivu Eila Lashem, it could have just said Leisakrivu Lashem. Averes, a shavar, a garav, a yelefes, Leisakrivu Lashem. You shouldn't offer them to Hashem. Why does the pasuk add the word Eila? Leisakrivu Eila Lashem. Eila yatamakriv alta. Makriv kachim shnasem amaveda. Only these you may not offer. But a carbon that work was done with it, you may offer. So we already have another pasuk to teach us that carbonis, even if work was done with them, they're kosher to be offered on the mizbeach. So why are you telling me that Ashali Ubad Ba comes to exclude that this psul, this disqualification, does not apply by carbonis? And for the Gemara Istrich, we need both. We need the source from Eila, and we need the source from Ashali Ubad Ba. Why? Because if I only had one pasuk, I would just had the pasuk Ashali Ubad Ba. I would have said that when does that apply? If the work that was done with it was permissible work. But if forbidden work was done with the carbon, I would think I would think it should become forbidden. It should become forbidden to be used as a carbon. Therefore, you need to teach us that even forbidden work does not make an animal unfit to be brought on the mizbeach. And you want to tell me that even when forbidden work is done with a carbon, it doesn't disqualify from the mizbeach. We learn from here. Don't we learn it from a different pasuk? It says, from the hand of a stranger, meaning a non-Jew, you should not offer the bread of your God from any of these disqualified animals. So from the pasuk Mikol Eila, we learn Eila yatamakriv. These may not be offered. These balei mumin may not be offered. But you may offer kadshim that work was done with them. So we already have two limudim to tell us that kadshim shenevdim hamaveda are kosher. One for permissible work and one for forbidden work. So what do you need the ba, shali ubad ba for? Says the Gemara, you still need the ubad ba. Why? I would have thought that when is work not a disqualification? If the work was done with the carbon before the carbon was sanctified. So while it was still chulin, the work was done with it, then it's okay. But if the work was done with it when it already became kachim, I would think that it becomes asur. So therefore, we need all three limudim. We need the limud lesakrivu eila Hashem, yad or lesakrivu lechem alekecha mikol eila, and the shalei ubad ba. One to tell us that permissible work doesn't make it possible. It doesn't make a carbon possible. One to tell us that forbidden work doesn't make a carbon possible. And one to tell us that even if the work was done after it became sanctified as a carbon, it still doesn't make it possible. Therefore, we need all three psukim. Gufa, we mentioned before, Amar Rabbi Yehuda said the name of Rabbi, psula. If you place a bundle of sacks on the paraduma, it makes it possible. In the case of an egla rufa, just placing the bundle of sacks on its back doesn't make it possible. If the egla rufa draws it, if it walks a few steps with the bundle of sacks on its back, that it makes it possible. As it says by egla rufa shalei mashcha. Says the Gemara Meisvei. So I have a refutation against Rabbi Yehuda Marav. It says in the Braise, oil. It says by paraduma. Oil, that no yoke has gone upon it, has been placed on it. Oil. So I only know that there's a problem with a yoke on a paraduma. From where do we know that other forms of work also disqualify a paraduma? So we learn it from a kal v'chemer. If an egla rufa, where it is lenient, because mum doesn't disqualify an egla rufa, and nevertheless, sharav is placeless because it says hashalei ubad ba. So any type of work disqualifies an egla rufa. Parash a mum placeless ba, so a paraduma, which is more severe. The proof is that a mum disqualifies a paraduma. And a din sharav is placeless ba. Surely it's a kal v'chemer that other types of work besides a yoke would also make it disqualify. Im nafshach leimar, and if you want, I give you another source for this halacha. Nemar kan oil. It says over here the word oil. The nemar lahalon oil, and by egla rufa it also says oil. Mal lahalon sharav is placeless, but just like by egla rufa, other forms of work disqualified because it says hashalei ubad ba. Afkan sharav is placeless. So also over here by paraduma, other avodas also passel the paraduma. Correct the Gemara. Mayim nafshach leimer. What do you mean? And if you want, first I'll give you a kal v'chemer, and if you don't like the kal v'chemer, I'll back it up with a gzeira shav. Why are you hesitant to stick to your kal v'chemer? What is wrong with your kal v'chemer that you have to say? And you should know that if you don't like my kal v'chemer, I'll give you a gzeira shav. Mayim im nafshach leimer. What's this im nafshach leimer all about? After the Gemara, the pshat is like this. And if you'll want to slug up my kal v'chemer, you'll want to get rid of my kal v'chemer by arguing. Mala egla shekain shanim paceless ba. Then how can you bring me a proof from egla rufa? Egla rufa has a special severity in the sense that age disqualifies it. So inami kachim yechichu. So Karbanis can prove that that's not an issue. Why? Shemum paisel behem, because by a carbon, a mum is a disqualification. Vein aved the paiselis behem, and work does not disqualify a carbon. So you'll want to slug up my kal v'chemer in one of these two ways. Either you'll want to slug up the kal v'chemer by saying you can't bring me a proof of egla rufa because egla rufa has a special stringency that age is a disqualification, or you'll want to refute my kal v'chemer by saying you can't bring me a proof from egla rufa because what's the severity? What's the lenience of egla rufa? The lenience of egla rufa is that a mum is not a disqualification. But look at karbanis. Karbanis, a mum is a disqualification, and nevertheless work is not a disqualification. So that will also be a refutation of this kal v'chemer. So since there's two ways that you might try to refute my kal v'chemer, so therefore I'll back it up with a gzeira shava. Nemar kan oil, but nemar lahalan oil. That by paraduma it says oil, and by egla rufa it says oil. Malahalan sharavedis. Just like in the case of the egla rufa, other forms of work besides a yoke make it possible because it says hashalei ubad ba. Afkan sharavedis. Over here by paraduma, other forms of work also make it possible. umimakim shabasa. But if that's the case, you can only disqualify a paraduma through work if it fits the same descriptions as egla rufa. Just like by egla rufa. It only is disqualified by other forms of work. When it draws the bundle of sacks, it has to move with it. So also by the paraduma, it only disqualifies it when it draws it. So Rab said that if you place the bundle of sacks on a paraduma, you make it possible. And only by egla rufa it has to actually draw it in order to become possible. And here we see clearly in the Braisa that since we learn this from a kal v'chemer, and the kal v'chemer comes from egla rufa or gzeira shava from egla rufa, so therefore the same halachas that apply by egla rufa would apply by paraduma. And therefore, if you just place the bundle of sacks on the back of the paraduma, it doesn't make it possible. It's only when it draws it, when it moves with it on its back, that it makes it possible. So this seems to be a refutation for the din of Rabbi Yehuda Amarav. And for the Gemara Tanoi. This is actually a machlekes of Tanoim. There are those that learn this halacha from egla rufa. And there are those who derive it from a pasuk by paraduma itself. The Tanya, we learned in a Braisa, oil, it says by paraduma, oil, that no yoke has gone upon it. So we learn from the pasuk that if there's a yoke placed on the paraduma, it becomes pasul. Ainly yellow oil. So I only know from this pasuk that if it's actually a yoke that was placed on. Shara vedas minayin. How do I know that other forms of work would also disqualify a paraduma? Talmud leimar ashalei ola aleha oil. So it uses a more inclusive expression, ashalei ola aleha oil, that no yoke has risen upon it. So risen upon it is added to tell you mikomakim, whatever rose upon it makes it disqualifies. And kain ma Talmud leimar oil. So then, if all work disqualifies the paraduma, why does the Torah use specifically the description of oil of a yoke? The answer is oil paisel bein b'shas haveda bein shalei b'shas haveda. A yoke disqualifies the paraduma whether it does work with it or not. Shar haveda same paisel el b'shas haveda. Other forms of work do not disqualify it just by being placed on it. They have to be, work has to be done with it. So we see that this Tana is of the opinion. This Tana is of the opinion this Tana is of the opinion that paraduma is disqualified by paraduma is disqualified by a yoke, both b'shas avoda and shalei b'shas avoda. Why don't we use the system of klal u'prat u'klal? We say every morning in Rabbi Shmuel Eimer that there's a system of klal u'prat u'klal. When the Torah uses an inclusive expression, followed by an exclusive expression, followed by another inclusive expression. That's called a klal u'prat u'klal. And then we say, ein b'chlal elama. That's if a klal u'prat u'klal. But if it's just klal u'prat, first an inclusive expression and then an exclusive expression, then we say that the klal, the inclusive expression, only includes that which is specifically stated in the prat. So, says the Gemara, why don't we say that ashalei Allah is a klal, is an inclusive expression? Oil, that a yoke is a prat, and the rule is klal prat, ein b'chlal, masha b'prat. Whenever you have a klal followed by a prat, the klal only includes that which is in the prat. Oil in midei aloi. So it would be only a yoke and nothing else. Says the Gemara, Asher ribuyahu. Asher, it says Asher le oil. And Asher is inclusive. And therefore it includes also other work. The Tanya nami gabi egla kai gabna. We have a similar braisa by egla rufa, which says oil, it says by egla rufa, oil, a yoke, ain't the yellow oil, I only know about a yoke. Shara vedas minayin. How do I know that other work also disqualifies an egla rufa? Talmud Leimar, so the pasuk says, "Hashalei ubad ba mikol makom," which no work was done with it. So any form of work will disqualify. Mikol makom. It came out Talmud Leimar oil. So why does it say Hashalei mashcha oil that it didn't draw a yoke? Oil peisel bein b'shas haveda bein shalei b'shas haveda shar haveda same peisel all b'shas haveda. It teaches us that a yoke disqualifies the egla rufa whether it was used at the time of work or not at the time of work. And other forms of work only disqualify it if it worked with it, if it was a time of work. So therefore, the bundle of bags, let's say, that we spoke about before, if it was just placed on the egla rufa, it would not disqualify it. If the egla rufa drew it, if it moved with it, then it would disqualify it. Why don't we say that Ashali Ubadba is a klal, is an inclusive expression, oil is an exclusive expression, and we have a klal of prat, ein bechlal masha b'prat. Whenever you have a klal of prat, the klal only includes that which the prat specifies. So it's oil in midachrin aloi. Only a yoke would disqualify it, and other works would not disqualify it. Asher ribuyahu. The word asher is inclusive, and therefore asher comes to include also other forms of work, also disqualify the egla. Amar Rabbi asked a question. Rabbi said, a question was asked of Rabbi Yechanan, Mashicha ba'oil b'kama. We said that Ashalei Mashcha ba'oil, that an egla rufa is disqualified if it pulled the yoke. How far does it have to pull the yoke? Amar lei, so he said to me, I asked Rabbi Yechanan. Sorry, Rabbi said, I asked Rabbi Yechanan. I asked Rabbi Yechanan. Mashichas el b'kama. How far do you have to draw the yoke for it to be disqualified? Amar li kim loy el. So he said the size of a yoke. You have to draw the yoke, the size of the distance of the size of the yoke. So the question was asked, the size of the length of the yoke or the size of the width of the yoke? So one of the Chacham by the name of Rabbi Yaakov said, I actually had clarification on this from Rabbi Yechanan. Pulling the yoke is a distance equivalent to the width of the yoke, which is a tefach, a handbreadth. So if it's a handbreadth, why does Rabbi Yechanan have to say that Mashichas oil, kimloi oil, that the amount of distance you have to pull the oil to disqualify it is the size of a yoke? Why doesn't he just say a handbreadth? Everybody knows how much a handbreadth is. And for the Gemara, how come Ashmalon, shiura the oil tefach? He wants to teach us another halacha that a yoke has to be a tefach wide. Has to be the width of a yoke is a handbreadth. Who cares what the width of a yoke is? Let the people that are manufacturing yokes figure out what the width of a yoke is. Why is it a halacha? What pertinence does it have in halacha what the width of a yoke is? Says the Gemara, if somebody is buying or selling a yoke, what they need to expect, what the buyer expects to be delivered from the seller. If I say to you, I'm buying from you a yoke, I'm going to pay you this and this for it, so I'm expecting the yoke to be a tefach wide. And if it's not a tefach wide, it's not a proper yoke. Because Rabbi Yechanan said that a yoke has to be a tefach wide. So there is a pertinence in halacha for the width of a yoke. Amar Rabbi Yechanan ben Shol. Rabbi Yechanan ben Shol said, why did the Torah say to bring a calf to an Asan valley to atone for the unresolved murder? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter said, let a calf who never produced any fruits come along, and have it be decapitated, have his head chopped off, in a place that doesn't produce any fruit because it's too hard to produce fruit. And atone for someone who was not allowed to produce fruit. So basically, by this person being killed, he wasn't allowed to produce fruit, and the calf doesn't produce fruit, and the hard soil of the Nachal Eson doesn't produce fruit. So let a calf who doesn't produce fruit come along and be decapitated in a place that doesn't produce fruit to atone for the fact that this person was not given the opportunity to bear fruit. What does it mean that he wasn't given the opportunity to bear fruit? What are fruit? If you tell me that it means to have offspring, to have children, the fact that he was killed young did not allow him the opportunity to ever have children. And if that's the case, what if the victim was an old man, already did his thing, he's raised a whole family? Or he's a sodis and he's not capable of having children. Even if he would not have been killed, he wouldn't have had children. Would you say that the din of Egla Rufa doesn't apply because it only applies in a case where he was blocked from having peiros? Ella mitzvahs, but rather peiros means mitzvahs. So he wasn't allowed, by the fact that he was killed, he was the opportunity of doing mitzvahs from here on further was taken away from him. That's what it means. He wasn't allowed to produce fruits. Fruits are mitzvahs. It said in the Mishnah, we read Nachal Eson, Eson kemashmoi kasha. He's taken down to a Nachal Eson, and the word Eson means literally hard. The Rabban learned Nabraisa, Eson Shu kasha. How do we know that the word Eson means hard? Shanamar, because it says in the pasuk, Eson meishavecha v'sim basala kinecha. Strong is your dwelling, and set in a rock your nest. And it says in another pasuk, Shimu hadar mesriv Hashem. Hear you mountains, the controversy of Hashem, and the strong ones, Eson, are the foundation of the earth. Others say, how do we know that Eson means old, ancient? Because it says in the pasuk, Goy Eson hu Goy me'elamhu. It's an Eson nation, a nation that's been around since the beginning of the world. So we see that Eson means ancient. The Mishnah said further, you decapitate the calf with a cleaver from the back of its neck. My time, but what's the reason for this? We learn arifa from a sin offering of a bird. So just like the bird, the malika that takes place on the bird is from the back of the neck, so over here also this arifa is done in the back of the neck. Then it said in the Mishnah that the place where this takes place, you're not allowed to sow there, and you're not allowed to till the earth there. The Rabban said, it says in the pasuk, a valley, the verse of the valley of Eson is a place where no work be done in it, nor can it be planted. So what does this mean? Says the Gemara, it means l'sha'avar. The Brisa says it means l'sha'avar, that in the past no work was done there. You have to find the kind of soil where never was work done. Divrei Rabbi Yeshia, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yeshia. Rabbi Yonasan says no, that's not what it means. It means lahaba, that from now on no work should be done there. So the Gemara explains the machlekes in Rabbi Yeshia and Rabbi Yonasan. Rava said, lahaba the kul amal pligi. In regard to the future, everyone agrees that it's forbidden to do any work there. It says it cannot be planted. So it's clear that from the future, you're not allowed to do any work there. The argument is only whether it also includes the past. Rabbi Yashia says, does it say, and no work be done in it, referring to the past? It says no work shall be done in it, which clearly implies a command for the future. So, just the other way around. It doesn't say that no work should be done in the future. But rather it says which can also mean the past. Rabbi Yonasan says nevad. It doesn't say nevad, which clearly would have meant past. So the Torah could have used the word nevad, which would have been clearly a reference to the past, and the Torah uses the word ye'oved, which is not so clear. So it only refers to the future. So how will Rabbi Yeshia respond to this? Doesn't it say, he could have said nevad, then it says ye'oved, so it truly means only the future. It says asher la'avar mashma. It says asher lo ye'oved. And the word asher, it makes it lean more toward meaning past. But Rabbi Yonasan, what would Rabbi Yonasan say? There's a word asher here, which seems to imply that it means the past. It says asher ribuyahu. Asher is an inclusive word, comes to include everything, and therefore it's not coming to tell you that it's not coming to tell you about the past. It's not coming to change the tense of the pasuk. It's coming to include more situations.
Coming to include all work, so forbidden.
Yeah, all work, not just planting. Thank you. Right. That's the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, it's permitted to comb flax there and to chisel stones there. And the Rabban learned but it says in the pasuk, and no sowing or planting should take place. Ainly elazriyas, I only know about sowing and planting. Shara vedas minayin. How do we know that it's also forbidden to do other work there? Talmud leimar shalei aved, which no work will be done there. Mikol makim. So why does it mention specifically sowing and planting? Leimar to tell you, just like sowing is unique, that it involves the actual soil. So all the work that is forbidden is only work which involves the soil. Which excludes the combing of flax and the chiseling of stones, don't involve the soil at all. Why don't we say, it says which is the general term, then it says which is a specific term. So whenever we have an inclusive term followed by an exclusive term, we say klal prat, ein bechlal masha befrat. So zriya in midachrin alay should only be forbidden to sow and plant, but anything else should be permissible. Says the Gemara, asher ribuyahu. The word asher is a ribuy, and that comes to include other types of work, as we said before. Rabbi Yonasan, according to Rabbi Yonasan, asher ribuyahu, and therefore all types of work are forbidden.
What kind of work is not zriya, but is ba'avedas gufa shakarka?
Arisha, plowing.
So that would be included in the klal. When you have klal uprat, ein b'klal elo mash b'pad, that means anything similar to zriya.
No. That's klal uprat of klal. When you have klal uprat of klal, then it's everything similar. But when you have klal uprat, then it's very specific. Ein b'klal elo mash b'prat.
So what's the difference between just a prat and a klal prat?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Okay. Have to learn it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Continuing now. It said in the Mishnah, that the elders of the city wash their hands. It says in the pasuk that all the elders of the city are who? All the elders of that city, Hakrevim El HaCholol, that are near the dead body, shall wash their hands over the calf that was decapitated by the Nachal. The word Ha'arufa is really superfluous. It's extra. Why does it use the word Ha'arufa? To tell you, it has the washing of the hands has to be at the site of where the egla was decapitated. The Amru, and they say, our hands did not spill this blood, our eyes didn't see. So the question is, also, did it ever enter our minds that the elders of the Bezdin are murderers? It means he didn't come our way and we let him go without food. And we didn't see him and leave him without an escort. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa. The mayor used to say, we compel a person to escort another person from the city. The reward for fulfilling the mitzvah of escorting your guest is without limit. It says in the pasuk, the watchman saw a man leaving the city. And they said to him, show us how to get into the city, and we will do with you kindness. And it's ksiv, and it says further, he showed them how to get into the city. What kindness did they do with him? When they finally entered the city, they killed the entire city by sword. And that man and his family was spared, and they sent him off. Another brayso that talks about the limitless reward of providing an escort. It says, "Vayelech ha'ish eretz hachitim." The man went to the land of the Chitim, Mayiv Ir, Vayikra Shma Luz. He built a city, he called it Luz. And Luz is his name until this very day. He Luz should save him, but Chelas. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, he Luz should save him, but Chelas. This is the same Luz where Chelas is died there. He Luz Shabbos and Cherev Elei Bilbala. This is the same Luz when Sancherev came and he mixed all the population from the places that he conquered. He transferred them Sancherev was not able to transfer them. When Nebuchadnezzar came to destroy Eretz Yisrael, he couldn't destroy the city. Even the Malach HaMavis has no right to enter the city. The old people that live there, when they get fed up with living, they leave the walls of the city, and there they can die. But in the city, nobody dies. The Malach HaMavis can't come into the city. So this is all a Kal V'chemer. If this Knaini, this is the fellow who showed them the Mabei Ha'ir, right? He showed them the entrance into the city. So if this Knaini, who didn't speak with his mouth, but didn't walk with his feet, but by doing this favor, by doing this goodness, he caused salvation for himself and for his seed, his descendants, until the end of all generations. So if a person escorts a guest with his feet, imagine what kind of reward is in store for him. If he didn't move his hands and he didn't move his feet, how did he show them the entrance to the city? With his mouth, he twisted his mouth in the direction that they should understand what he's telling them. Yechanan says with a finger, without moving his hand, just with a finger, he moved his finger, and with that he showed them where the entrance to the city is. Tanya Kabasi de Rabbi Yechanan, we learned a brayso like Rabbi Yechanan that it was with a finger. Because this Canaanite showed with his finger, he caused salvation for himself and his seed until the end of all generations. Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, if someone is traveling on the road and he has no escort, Yasik b'Torah. So he should find himself an escort by studying Torah.
Now we
And as it says, the words of Torah are a gracious accompaniment for your head and chains around your neck. So the Torah is described as an accompaniment. So if you're walking in the road and you have no accompaniment, you should study Torah. Another thing Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, when Paroi sent away Avraham, after the story of Avraham and Sarah, so it says that Paroi escorted Avraham. It says, Vayitzav olav Paroi anashim. Paroi commanded men upon him and sent him off with his wife. So Paroi walked them 4 steps to escort Avraham. And because of that, that gave him the right to enslave Avraham Avinu's descendants for 400 years. As it says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, whoever escorts his friend 4 amas in town, at the beginning of his journey, ensures that his friend will not come to any harm during the whole course of his trip. Navina escorted Rabbi Bar Yitzchak 4 cubits in the city. And then during his journey, he faced a dangerous situation, and he was saved because of the fact that he was escorted. When a Rav sees his Talmud off on a journey, how far does he have to escort him? They should take him up to the extension of the town. That means the 70 amas. That if there's a house 70 amas away from the end of the town, so the Chum Shabbos begins to be counted only from there. So that 70 amas will be Buddha Shalir. So a teacher should escort his student who's departing till he Buddha Shalir, which is 70 amas out of the city. Chaver lechaver, if a friend is escorting his friend, should be Chum Shabbos, Chum Shabbos, which is 2,000 amas from the city. Talmud l'Rav, if a student is escorting his Rebbe, ein le'shir, then there's no limit to how far he has to escort him. The Kama, so how much should he actually escort him? Amar Rav Sheshes said, at Parsa, until a Parsa, which is 4 kilometers, 4 mil outside the city. Not only applies to his teacher who is not his primary teacher. But if it's his primary teacher, Shleisha Parsa, then he has to escort him 3 Parsa, which is 12 kilometers. Rav Kana escorted Rav Shimon ben Ashi from Pumnara until Beit Sinise of Bavel. Kimatu Hasam, when they arrived at Beit Sinise of Bavel, Amar Lei, so Rav Kana said to Rav Shimon ben Ashi, is it true what they say that these palm trees of Bavel are around from the days of Adam Arishan? Amar Lei, so he said to him at Karta Mill, so you reminded me of something. Amar Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina said, the Eretz le'avar ba'ish v'le'yashav Adam sham. Pasuk says, in a land where no man has ever passed and no man has ever dwelt. If he never crossed there, if he never passed there, how could he have dwelt there? If he never dwelt there, how would he have passed there? But rather it means that the land that Adam Arishan decreed upon it that it should be settled, settled. A land that Adam Arishan did not decree that it should be settled, like Nisyashva was not settled. The Mardche Alvin Rav Ashi me'agrunya v'ad Beikip. The Mardche escorted Rav Ashi from Hegrunya until Beikipi. Amnila ad Beidura. Others say until Beidura. Amr Rabbi Yechanan Mishum Rameir. Rabbi Yechanan said the name of Rameir. Misha Eina Mislava Malva Umislava Kilu Shefich. Whoever does not escort a traveler, or he travels and is not escorted, it's as if he sheds blood. Because if the people of Yericha would have escorted Elisha, he would not have incited the bears to attack the children who Namar, it says by Elisha, that from there he traveled towards Beisel. From Yericha he went towards Beisel. As he went into the road, some youths came out of the city, and they were not nice to him. They derided him. They said to him, go away, bald one. Go away, bald one. So they made fun of him. What does that mean? The Gemara says that what they meant to say is, they said to him, Alei, go away, because you've made this place bald for us. Which means you've taken away our source of parnasa. Let's just get clear. How do you take away their source of parnasa?
44.
That these youths used to sell drinking water. When Elisha was in Yericha, he cured the bitter waters of the city, made them drinkable. So these young people who were selling drinking water for their parnasa lost their parnasa. So therefore, they were very not nice to Elisha. So it says Na'arim Ktanim, which literally is translated little youths. What does it mean when it says little youths? Amar Belazar said, the word Na'arim comes to the word Minu'arim. They were shaken out of mitzvahs, meaning they were emptied of mitzvahs. Tanim, they're called little ones because they were little in faith. Tanim, we learned in Abraisa, Na'arim Hayu, they were youths, so Bizbu Asbu Tanim, but they were called little because they demeaned themselves acting like little children. Maskef Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef asked the question, perhaps they're called Na'arim because of the place where they came from. It doesn't say in the pasuk Aram Yatsu Yedudim that the people of Aram came out armed. Yishbu, May Eretz Yisrael, Naira Ketana, and they conquered. They took captive from Eretz Yisrael a Naira Ketana. Now a Naira means a young lady. Ketana means a child, a little girl. So can it be a young lady and also a little girl? Kashulon. So we asked the question, Naira Uktana. How could you get both a Naira and a Ketana? Yamar Pedas, and Pedas answered the question. Ketana de Mina Eiren. She was a Ketana, but she came from a town called Eiren, and therefore she's called Naira from the root of Eiren. So why don't we say the same thing over here? In the Arim Ketanim, they were children who came from a place called Eiren. That's the Gemara. Hasam le mefarish mekayim. Over there, it doesn't say where it was, so you could say that it was from the Eiren. Hacham mefarish mekayim, but here it says they were in Yericha. So if they were in Yericha, they were from Yericha. They weren't from the Eiren. Yifan Achrav, that it says he turned after him by Yareim. He looked by Yirem, he looked at them by Yikalim b'Shem Hashem, and he cursed them in the name of Hashem.
Was nice with the Dubin.
Yeah. So Madra, what did he see? He says he saw them. What did he see? Amarav Ra Mamash. He saw them literally. The Tanyas it says. Shimon ben Gamliel says, wherever the Chachamim place their eyes, either cause death or poverty. So when a Talmud Chacham looks at someone in a negative way, it could be harmful. That's what it means he looked at them. Shmuel says he saw that all these young people who had come out to demean him, they were all conceived by their mothers on Yom Kippur. Yitzchak Nafcha says, he said they had chupchikis like shkotzim. Rabbi Yechanan said, he saw that there was no moisture of a mitzvah, even a trace of a mitzvah. And therefore he was okay with what he sorted them out. They don't have any mitzvahs, but their children, their descendants might do mitzvahs. Rabbi Elazar said, he was able to look at them and see that not they and not their children to the end of all generations will ever have anything to do with a mitzvah.
It means these people had theoretical generations that would come from them.
So look, it says when Cain killed Hevel, killed Dmei Achicha, Rashi says, Damei v'dam zara.
Same thing by Yifan Kei B'Choy, by Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll hold it over here. Bye, but just
for the story.
Okay. And we will continue in Yirtzeh Hashem tomorrow at 2:45. It's good we started at 2:45 because it was 55 minutes this block.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we will continue at 2:45.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I won't be with you until about 4:30.
4:30. Hopefully we'll be.
No, 3:30. Sorry.
3:30. Okay.
I have a shift from 4:30 to 5:30. So that's from 2:30 to 3:30. Okay, go ahead.
Zayt alle gesund. Have a good day.
Cool. Oh, let me ask you a question quickly.
Yes.
Mikveh, can one pay from...
Can I shut off the recording some way? Let me see if I can figure this out. I don't know if I can do this.
No, it's a quick... can one pay for mikveh with Meiselgeld?
Maybe Chaimish.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, the mikveh is a service; it's not a donation.
That's right. It's
only
like
I think that it might be okay to use Meiselgeld because you're using it. It's for Hiddur mitzvah. Hiddur mitzvah you can use Chaimish money for. But the first Meiselgeld.
Okay.
The mikvahs are open in Eretz Yisrael already.
Yeah, and I like to pay for.
I'm saying mikvahs are already open in Eretz Yisrael.
Yes, but with regulations, you can only have 3 people in the area at all at a time. So I go at about 6:15 in the morning. They open at 6:30, and there's already a queue. So you have to wait until a person comes out before you go in.
Mm-hmm.
Only 3 people in the area, changing area, and 1 person in each mikveh at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Gesund.
Sei gesund, Colt.
Bye.
Screw it.